What's going on, Cover Killer Nation? We have a big list for you this afternoon, or evening, or morning. When are you watching this? Let me know in the comments. This is 100%, I have to give all the credit to the CKN stream populace, and with one person definitely specifically in mind here. He will go nameless because he knows who he is just by looking at the title of this video. We need to talk a little bit about traditional doom metal, and I'm not necessarily going to go so far back as to go with Black Sabbath, who of course one of the most important and paramount members of the heavy metal community, but also certainly set the stage for doom metal. They're not going to be on this list, but at the same time we do want to recognize them as very, very important. You know, go low, go slow. We're talking about more so the doom metal that started to craft itself in the first portion of the 1980s, moving on to present. Let's talk about the top 10 traditional doom metal bands, or at least doom metal bands that I really dig. You know, so maybe this isn't that universal list that you're looking for. This is certainly one where my own personal views are scattered within here quite a bit, but the way in which it's listed may not necessarily reflect that. So if I seem more excited about an album or a band that's lower on the list, it might just be something that's affecting me a little bit more right now, but I don't want there to be an overall effect on the list itself. So let's get started. These are top 10 traditional doom metal bands. We start with number 10, pop, just like that. We start with Elder. Elder, of course, had the album of the year with Reflections of the Forgotten World last year, 2017, and this has been a group that is a little bit more of the stoner metal variety, or the psychedelic, the progressive doom variety. You know, some would argue that maybe this isn't even a doom metal band. You're wrong, but at the same time, these guys are showing themselves to be great future hosts of doom metal for many, many years to come. Their few albums that they have each have gotten better and better with age and spins. I remember the first time that I listened to the album that preceded last year's, which was entitled Lore. It was released in 2015, I believe, and it just absolutely spellbound me. I was blown away. I found myself repeating tracks over and over again. Repetition became my new best friend, and Elder was quickly becoming one of my favorite newer bands that I had discovered. And I discovered them, once again, through the community, so I thank you for that. I wasn't on the Elder train whenever it first left the station, and man, do I feel dumb that I wasn't. But this group is absolutely terrific, so if you have not gotten the opportunity to scope them out, even just by scoping out the review for Reflections of the Forgotten World from last year, go back and watch that review, and then go and listen to yourself some Elder. They're absolutely tremendous. If you like doom at all, you are going to really love what these boys do. If you like progressive, you're going to love what they do. If you like psychedelic / stoner stuff, you're going to dig it. You're going to dig it. Number 9 is Windhand. Windhand has been a newer band on this list that has been getting a lot of attention and circulation. They just released a brand new album, and they have certainly gained the attention and sort of the love of the doom metalverse over the course of the past couple of years. And their albums have all been extremely solid, and this is based around the way in which their songs and their overall nomenclature has been constructed. Based around their style, they certainly take a lot of heavy influence from the doom gods of old, the Candlemasses and others, but at the same time are putting their own twist on it, with their vocals being extremely passionate. And really, those vocals also are very powerful over the top at times, but it can be soft whenever necessary. And this is in a bit of a contrast to some of the other bands on this list, where the vocals may necessarily tend to go toward one direction or the next based around a vocalist themselves. And this is just a really solid group to get into if you want to get into sort of the newer age of doom metal. And trust me, this is a subgenre that is slowly but surely got a lot of steam going for it, and a lot of groups that are sort of hovering in the underground that are waiting to break out. Windhand is one that happened to have gotten that breakout moment and has gotten that breakout attention, but I definitely tell you that they have 5 to 10 more peers that are looking to scratch and claw to get this position from them. Scope out Windhand, really, really good stuff. Going into number 8, which is Pallbearer, another newer group from this sort of new doom crop. And this is a group that, of course, got a lot of attention with their last album, and they're getting a lot more attention with the releases, the singles releases that could potentially be from them next. And based off of that, Pallbearer has immediately jumped into a great position where they have sort of gotten the Death Heaven treatment a little bit, where they get some NPR attention or attention from bigger reviewers and big folks that are trying to get this band out there, and they're all really giving sterling reviews to what Paul Bearer has been able to do, especially with an album such as Heartless, which a lot of people have also said is not nearly as good as their older work. So take that with a grain of salt. If Heartless was your first example of Paul Bearer's material, it only means that you get more great music in order to scope out. This is, like I said, with Windhand, where their voice can sort of change. Paul Bearer is a group that tends to use a softer voice as far as their vocals are concerned, unless they necessarily need to raise up. And they definitely do show power when necessary. And I love the fact that they do embrace sort of that slower architecture to some of their tracks. They don't necessarily need to thrash and thrust around in order to get the attention that they need or that they deserve. They've just been very quietly been manufacturing really good doom metal that definitely has the feel of some of the old school classics, but they are also crafting something that feels a little bit new, that has a unique element to it. This is not based around popularity alone. It's based around the fact that now doom metal with a band such as Paul Bearer seems like a very approachable and sort of attractive medium where there are other artists or other genres that could employ some of these go low, go slow tactics in order to develop a song that has a certain mood, that pervades a certain atmosphere. And I think Paul Bearer has done their best to really showcase that this is an extremely attractive option. Number 7 is the Reverend Bazaar. Now, their catalog isn't exactly very large, but the catalog is extremely influential. The Reverend Bazaar, during the late 90s, 2000s, really captivated a lot of doom metal fans. They were seen as sort of this old school revitalists that had a great tone and a great mentality. They were definitely willing to go very, very lengthy with their compositions. They were not afraid to eclipse the 10-minute mark in many of their songs, and it shows, considering they are still very much beloved in the doom metal community, and they're missed by the doom metal community since they only gave us a couple of releases prior to their departure from the community. Now, yes, they're still out there. They individually still have different projects and stuff. We've seen them perhaps come back together in order to do a couple one-off gigs or just this or that, but is the Reverend Bazaar ever really dead? Nobody really knows, but it certainly has been for quite some time. Come back, guys. It'll be really, really fun. Number 6 is Trouble. Now, you might not think of this if you listen to an album such as Plastic Green Head from the middle portion of the 1990s, which definitely doesn't sound like a doom metal album, but their original offerings were of the doom metal variety. And here's something that's even more perplexing about this. It's doom metal with a little bit of Christianity thrown in there as well. It might seem like that would be an immediate turnoff for all of you, but listen to an album such as Psalm 9 and you'll realize that no, it's not. The way in which Trouble is able to really incorporate their message or incorporate their Christianity or their light metal side to their doom metal sound is one thing that makes them an extremely puzzling, unique, great band. And also, one of the frontrunners, the forebearers, the pallbearers for this genre, if you really want to say. This is a group that's been around since the middle portion of the 1980s, where doom metal was just starting to get its bearings. So they're an absolutely essential group to scope out. If you like doom and you've not scoped out the initial Trouble offerings from the 1980s, you're really missing out. And really, to be honest, Plastic Green Head, great album too. Mostly because they did change up their sound a little bit. They did a great cover of Dolphin Song, which is by the Monkees. And a Porpoise song, rather. Ha ha ha, caught myself. Can't catch me in the comments now, motherfucker. And it's just, they're a great band. Number 5 is Saint Vitus. Speaking of old school legends, a group that has still continued onward, and I actually have a CD of theirs available in the CD sale. Cheap plug. This is a terrific band that really uses the darker side of doom metal to their advantage. These atmospheres feel dense. They feel very, very dark. So it's very stark contrast to Trouble, which has a little bit more of that light metal property. This is one where the heaviness, the doominess, the despair, sort of captivating that internal struggle and melancholy is one of the critical catalyst points that Saint Vitus employs within their music structure, and it's been going on for quite some time. These guys are legends. They have been around for a long time. If you get into this group, you're going to have plenty of material to explore, and you're going to really dig what you hear. Number 4 is Cathedral. Unfortunately, Cathedral is no more. They have ceased to be, but good Lord, while they were here. What a unique band. This is a group that definitely did not take the high road whenever it came to doom metal. They decided to explore. They decided to go psychedelicatessen on us a little bit. And if you get that reference, well then you know Threshold. Fuck, I just spoiled it. But at the same time, Cathedral was willing to go into that psychedelic trance. They were willing to explore just what doom metal could be, how they could perhaps craft doom metal into their own thing, and maybe create a couple of subgenres or a couple of different tones for other bands to run with, bands such as Elder, for example, in the future. And they were able to do this. Their last album, The Last Spire, was a little bit more of that traditional doom approach, and it was one that was approached masterfully. It was one of their best albums. But then you go to, go further back to Garden of Unearthly Delights and things like that. Wow, this band has had such a sterling career. It's honestly out of control. And if you're a doom metal fan and have not yet tasted the kiss of the Cathedral song, you need to certainly pucker up. They're a great group. And they're a group that also is going to present you with something very different on multiple albums. So you're going to find an era that you're going to enjoy more than others, but you'll probably enjoy the whole as well. Number 3 is Solitude at Tyrannus, and I love this band. This list was all about personality and all about me as an individual. These guys would be number 1. I'm just going to spoil that right now. I absolutely love this product. I love this band. I love Rob as the vocalist of this group. I love the fact that he was in Candlemass for a little bit. I love the fact that he has side projects. I love the fact that this band... The only thing I hate about this band is that we haven't had a new album since 2006. Alone was the last thing that we got from Solitude at Tyrannus after a pretty heavy and active 1990s period. This is traditional doom at its best, and it's one that easily takes the tokens that were given to them by groups that perhaps we'll talk about after this, and definitely take it up to a new stage. They take it up to a new level. They deserve to be right up there with the masters of the universe whenever it comes to the subgenre, and they rightfully have their place on this list. Scope these guys out. Go for an album such as Adagio. Go with the aforementioned Alone. That's from the later portions of their career. The early stuff, also damn good. There's really not a bad album from these guys. If I had to do a rank them all for this, I'd probably explode. Number 2, Typo Negative. Does this really go without saying? Is this one of the more mainstream bands of the doom metal universe that we can have in there? Are they really doom metal? Are they romantic metal? What the hell are they? I like to consider them a doom metal band, especially whenever you consider Slow, Deep, and Hard, whenever you consider some of the other material. They really do have the embodiment of a doom metal band, but they're just a doom metal band that has gotten some attention. They're a doom metal band that has gotten some plays. They were one of the groups that were able to break through and be sort of one of the first real representations of doom metal to a whole new crop. And the fact that some of those folks weren't willing to go any further than Typo Negative, well, that's on them. Now they have a whole list of stuff to explore, so do it, you bunch of retards. It's not just Peter Steele in this doom metal universe. But Peter Steele is absolutely great. He's a legend. Of course, we've lost him. He's been gone for, nearly a decade. It's been just, it feels very empty without his sense of humor and his unique style, and that's one thing that makes Typo Negative extremely unique. They don't take themselves overly seriously. Their songs are very much tongue-in-cheek in some capacities, but at other points are extremely serious, and based off of that, you get a very eccentric mold of doom metal on here that mixes in with a little bit of thrash. Think about what High on Fire does, how they combine stoner metal with a little bit of that thrash and that blistering pace. That's kind of what Typo Negative did. Typo Negative did that, only instead of being completely stoned out with their doom is intermixed with some of what Peter was doing with his former band, which was entitled Carnivore. So, very, very cool mix. These guys are more than just My Girlfriend's Girlfriend or Black Number 1 or Love You to Death. They have a great discography. You should scope it out if you haven't. Number 1, and this probably should go without saying, but Candlemass. Yeah, Candlemass is an amazing band. They're a group that's been around for a long time, and they still continue to crank out material. Messiah is one of the most well-known and decorated doom metal vocalists all across the board. I can't mention Candlemass without mentioning a side project that features Messiah entitled Abstract Algebra, which is kind of a unique little product. You should probably scope that out too, but Candlemass is legendary. Their initial offerings, such as Tales of Creation and Nightfall, are considered to be absolute benchmarks of doom metal's development in its early days, and they are coupled right alongside a group such as Trouble and St. Vitus and Cathedral as real trailblazers of this genre that definitely give this genre a lot of the oomph that it now has. So if you see a lot of bands that want to employ the doom metal sound, it originally conceived, I almost said inceived, like I was in a Leonardo DiCaprio movie, by KOMS and the bands that were right alongside them. Just an absolutely terrific group that has a lifetime's worth of material for you to scope out, and you're going to find a little bit of something different on each, despite the tone may sound very similar. They definitely maintain a traditionalist approach. They have not really explored and gone too far off the rails, so that might make them seem a little samey just by speech. But whenever you listen to the material, you can understand why they are the legends, why they are number one on this list. But hey, what'd you think about the list? Who'd I leave off? What would your top 10 list be? Put that in the comments below. I want to know. I want to know, and I think other people want to know too. Doom metal is such an expansive genre. It's one that certainly has gotten a lot of subgenres, subcultures, and different things that have made it into a big, big deal, especially in the heavy metal underground. So if you want to get into Doom a little bit more, converse about other bands that people should maybe check out in the comments as well. And those of you who are reading the comments, man, scope some of these tracks out, scope some of these bands out, not only the ones that are on the list, but those that are being presented and suggested down below. My name is CoverKillerNation. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Cue the credits.